While we wait an extra day for the O's home opener at Camden Yards, let's recap yesterday and start blaming those allergies and dust. There is nothing better than seeing parents and family reactions for MLB debuts, and Grayson Rodriguez's lived up to that hype yesterday. Oh, what a moment. A wait nearly 5 years in the making finally arrived for Grayson Rodriguez. The Orioles' top pitching prospect got his welcome to the show moment in his home state of Texas yesterday against the Rangers. Rodriguez had to settle down after the first inning when he allowed his only runs, 2 of them. His dad also needing to relax in the stands. Rodriguez did from the second on, 5 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, and 5 strikeouts. A solid debut.
Grew up watching the Texas Rangers. A lot of memories at the old ballpark. Getting to come and throw here is pretty special.
The Ravens are on the clock in 3 weeks for the start of the NFL draft, and that clock has been ticking for a while with time running out. Some sort of solution, with or without him, has to be reached on Lamar Jackson. One would think before the draft. Now, draft picks could be scored, but also knowing the future franchise quarterback would be nice, and this class does have some ready to be drafted.
There's probably more than 4 guys that can be significant quarterbacks in this league. It's quite possible to get a good quarterback at any point in the draft. Obviously, the GOAT, as my son would say, Tom Brady, was a 6th-round pick, so they're all over the place in the draft. You have to have good scouts. You've got to have conviction, and in some cases, you got to get lucky too.
No pressure. Now, the Ravens don't have a lot of draft capital, though. 5 total picks, 22nd in the first, nothing in the second, 1 in each rounds 3 through 6.
Morgan, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6 o'clock, a 9-year-old is among 3 people shot in southeast Baltimore. Fox 45's Keith Daniels is standing by live with an update. The Frederick County Sheriff caught up in a gun trafficking scheme. The new details amid calls for him to step down.
Potential of rain and storms continues to wrap up this evening's commute. We are still under weather alert. I'm tracking the potential of storms for your neighborhood hour by hour. My Weather Authority forecast.
A 9-year-old girl among 3 people shot today in southeast Baltimore. Fox 45's Keith Daniels standing by with a live report. And a half a mile from that shooting, a fire damages several row homes in Highlandtown. We'll take you there as a heavy fire presence remains along Baltimore Street.
Live From WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. We're on weather alert tonight as a severe thunderstorm watch is still in place. Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers has our full forecast in moments, but we begin with the breaking news tonight. A 9-year-old girl among 3 people shot in Southeast Baltimore. Keith Daniels live on the scene for us. And Keith, what have you learned?
Well, Mary, we're live on McElderry Street at East Avenue. Still a very busy scene here. The yellow crime scene tape is up. Detectives behind this tape investigating the shooting. Now, police are confirming 3 people shot, including a 9-year-old girl shot in the ankle. One other victim, a 20-year-old woman, gunshot wounds to her upper body, in surgery now and in critical condition. Now, the other person, a 20-year-old man, shot in the leg, a non-life-threatening injury, police say. It's a triple shooting on this block. One of the victims, again, a 9-year-old child. Disturbing news for one neighbor.
You know, I just hope he all right. God got his arms around him, you know. Because I don't think if it was a he or she, you know, they ain't deserve that, you know. They kids growing up in a neighborhood like this.
Well, we are back here live, neighbors out front looking at the crime scene. Again, investigators trying to determine exactly what happened here. Of course, when we learn more, we'll bring it to you. We're live now in Southeast Baltimore. Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
All right, Keith, thank you. There's more breaking news to report to you this afternoon. Just a few blocks away from the shooting scene, a large fire damaging several row homes happened along East Baltimore Street. The Baltimore City Fire Union tweeted it had to request help from multiple firehouses to get this under control. The good news here at this hour, no reports of any injuries. And as soon as we have more information, we'll pass that along to you here on Fox 45 and also on foxbaltimore.com. Mary?
Thank you. Of course, we remain on weather alert this evening. Some showers have popped up as we are still under a severe thunderstorm watch across the region. You can see clouds building in our live feeds, including the Chevy Storm Tracker right now. Let's go to Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers for the latest on the track of this storm. Jonathan?
Yeah, and I believe that's right next to Druid Hill Park there that we've got the Chevy Storm Tracker, and you can see those clouds really getting dark and finally showing, as I've mentioned, some signs of life. It's been kind of delayed in getting going, but Aspen Hill down to Laurel, there's rain that's there, and then there's some nasty storms with some reported hail in central Virginia that's actually been accumulating on some of the grassy areas, and then there's a severe thunderstorm watch north of that. But take a look at this. As we put it in motion, you'll see not a whole lot, and then boom, this stuff kind of blossoms up 95. So my thoughts are that this will continue to kind of grow up toward Baltimore City, especially up towards the Inner Harbor and points south and east, Anne Arundel County, eastern portions of Harford County, Cecil County, and the eastern shore. And this is why we have that severe thunderstorm watch that continues until 10 o'clock tonight, except for areas of Carroll County. Slight risk of severe weather. Again, the main threat's going to be hail and high winds. As from Baltimore City, south and east, north and west, marginal risk or a level 1 of 5 risk of severe weather. And tracking things, there you go. There's the worst weather. Annapolis, even Baltimore at about 7:15, south and east, some clusters of storms. Those consolidate into a line and then pass south and east off the eastern shore by about 9, 10 o'clock tonight. I'm going to let you know what's going to be on deck for the Orioles game tomorrow, since we did delay it now to Friday. That's in my Weather Authority forecast.
Jonathan, thanks. Anytime inclement weather hits, you can have the forecast right at your fingertips. Download the Fox 45 weather app to search WBFF in your app store. Some more breaking news tonight. Anne Arundel County's 911 system is going through technical delays right now. The agency saying if you get a busy signal, don't hang up. Stay on the line until your call is processed. If you are disconnected, someone should call you back. The 911 text line is not impacted by these issues. Well, some chaos overnight at the Inner Harbor. A huge group of young people taking to the streets, prompting a massive response from police. And police are already taking preventative action, hoping to prevent a similar situation from happening again. Fox 45's Vincent Hill explains.
Yeah, much different scene than it was last night. I'll go ahead and step out of the way, but you can see DPW has already installed barricades. We see Baltimore police already on scene. They've actually installed lights. Now, this is all results of what happened last night. Now, a law enforcement expert says this is just a preview of things to come for Baltimore if city leaders don't do more.
Wednesday night, the Inner Harbor under siege, sending police scrambling by ground and air.
One in Florida County Air. You can respond to over 400 East Pratt Street. We have 200-300 juveniles all here on scene.
At some point, that disturbance turning into a brawl.
183. They need more units over there at Shake Shack. They're breaking up. They're in the middle of a fight.
Get your kids, okay?
Baltimore police using the police helicopter to try to get things under control.
One in Florida County Air. You can start broadcasting to see juveniles have to disperse and abide by ordering laws. They must disperse.
But the crowd lingered for almost 3 hours.
And plus the full moon is out.
In the aftermath, residents are stunned by what they saw.
I'm still trying to process what I saw. That was just madness, that's all. Thank God no one got hurt or killed.
And as summer approaches,
I was not surprised because the weather has gotten warm.
They're looking to city leaders for a solution to make sure something like this doesn't happen again.
All I just pray is that Mayor Scott and also Governor Moore can have a plan to be very, very proactive to overcome something like this.
Fox 45 taking those concerns to Mayor Brandon Scott.
We are going to be there to make sure that we do not have those kind of things continue.
Not really going into detail about his plan. The mayor saying disturbances like the one in the Inner Harbor will not be tolerated.
And they're going to be causing ruckus. If they're going to be fighting, if they're going to be doing those things, they will be held accountable.
Despite the promise of accountability.
Like, it's crazy, yeah.
None of the teens who were involved were arrested.
Much like in the movies, this is a preview of what's going to come for Baltimore for this summer.
Law enforcement analyst Melissa Pinkleton predicts things will get worse leading into summer, pointing to Baltimore's police shortage.
You can only do so many things with 8 to 10 officers against 200 to 300 bodies.
Pinkleton says it's up to the residents of Baltimore to demand more than vague promises.
The public has to let the leaders know what's important to them. And if safety is important and law and order are important, you need to tell them.
Now, many people have asked why these teens were not arrested last night. Now, although they're on spring break, it didn't actually violate the city's curfew policy. Now, Pinkleton says maybe city leaders should reevaluate that policy to see if it needs to start earlier. In Baltimore, Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.
True accountability means let us read your names. Come on, let's not hide. Come on forward and come clean.
More than 100 Catholic clergy members identified in a scathing Attorney General's report about child sex abuse within the Archdiocese of Baltimore. It is a sense of closure for some victims, but others are still looking for justice. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker explains.
Unfortunately, it may be too late for criminal justice, but this report could still prompt change.
We know we will face many more battles.
It was a day of reckoning. This 456-page report released detailing the horrific and repeated abuse of more than 600 child victims, reportedly at the hands of 156 abusers within the Archdiocese of Baltimore.
It's also a history of repeated cover-up of that abuse.
Church documents reveal with disturbing clarity that the Archdiocese was more concerned with avoiding scandal and negative publicity than it was with protecting children. The report listed certain parishes with multiple abusers. According to the report, St. Mark Parish in Catonsville had 11 child abusers living and working there from 1964 to 2004, and 4 parishes had 6 abusers, including St. Michael Overley in Baltimore. And the report says the abuse continued even after victims came forward. One priest, Lawrence Brett, admitted to sexually abusing a boy in Connecticut. He was sent to treatment where he continued to abuse children before coming to the Archdiocese of Baltimore. Brett was placed at Calvert Hall, a boys' school, where the report says he abused over 20 boys in Maryland. But as the survivors are left with a pain that will never fade.
Who in hell would want to be excited about this horrible stuff that's going to be in these papers?
What justice is there for them now?
Unfortunately, most of the abusers and those who concealed their wrongdoing are dead and no longer subject to prosecution.
Attorney General Anthony Brown saying it may be too late for criminal justice for those victims in the report.
We never rule anything out only because, as I just called or invited others with information to reach out to our office, it's hard to predict what information may come available to us.
Brown also pointing to Maryland's statute of limitations as a roadblock. Right now, the law prevents abuse victims who are over the age of 38 from suing their abusers. The report recommends amending the statute of limitations for civil actions involving child sex abuse, and now that's likely to happen. The Child Victims Act of 2023 will get rid of the statute of limitations surrounding civil lawsuits.
I'm hoping that will prompt other people who have been in the shadows. Their example will bring those people forward.
It's a chance to hold the Archdiocese accountable and for future victims to be compensated for the harms they have suffered.
Now that bill will head to Governor Wes Moore, and he has signaled that he intends to sign it. In Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
If you'd like to read the Attorney General's report yourself, you can do so at foxbaltimore.com. After a postponement today, the Orioles are ready for the home opener tomorrow. It will be a busy day in and around the ballpark. The Budweiser Clydesdales will parade from Lee Street to Utah Street beginning at 11:30. Any fans in attendance will get an Orioles schedule magnet to put on their fridge if they want. Governor Wes Moore is expected to throw out the ceremonial first pitch, and then the game begins at 3:05. Leaving the game, though, do expect more traffic as the Bruce Springsteen concert is happening tomorrow night at CFG Bank Arena. Well, nationally recognized attorney Ben Crump will deliver the commencement address at Morgan State University this spring. The ceremony is May 20th at 10 a.m. at Memorial Stadium on Morgan State's campus. New details as the Frederick County Sheriff is accused of being involved in a gun trafficking scheme. What we're learning about the weapons investigators allege he sent to a dealer illegally. And our weather alert coverage will continue. The Chevy Storm Tracker out, keeping an eye on the roads as the line of storms moves in. Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers has your full forecast in just a few minutes.
Fox 45 is following breaking news on Fox 45. We understand a 9-year-old girl is among 3 people shot in southeast Baltimore along McElderry Street. 2 others were also hurt. Now, police are canvassing that area. Our Keith Daniels is in the neighborhood gathering more information. We'll have an update for you coming up tonight at 10 o'clock on Fox 45.
A murder-suicide at a family gathering in Anne Arundel County. Police responded to a home on Red Pond Court in Glen, Burnie around 10 last night. When they arrived, they heard gunshots and saw people running out of the home. Police say 47-year-old Kofi Frempong had been shot and killed. 27-year-old Daniel Ampanza was also dead. Investigators say Ampanza asked his family to meet him at home, then threatened them with a handgun when they arrived. They believe he's responsible for the shootings. Well, we're learning more about the federal charges against Frederick County Sheriff Chuck Jenkins. He's accused in a scheme with a gun dealer to illegally acquire machine guns. Brad Bell from our Sinclair sister station has the latest developments.
This is a Marine Corps recruiting video of an M249 Squad Automatic Weapon, or SAW. It's a military machine gun designed for frontline infantry combat. Yet, according to a federal indictment, Frederick County Sheriff Charles Jenkins illegally helped the owner of this Frederick indoor shooting range buy an M249 SAW for private recreational use. The indictment lists 7 machine guns federal prosecutors allege Machine Gun Nest gun range owner Robert Kropp purchased in violation of federal law, using letters signed by Jenkins on official sheriff's letterhead, claiming falsely that the sheriff would be testing them for law enforcement purposes. None of those listed appears on this list of weapons actually issued by the sheriff's office. In Frederick today, residents telling us having an indicted sheriff is a concern.
You should absolutely step down, in my opinion. I mean, like, you're at a high public office right now.
We've had a few experiences with Mr. Jenkins and not personally a fan.
The 66-year-old Jenkins was narrowly reelected to a 5th term as sheriff last fall. He started with the agency as a deputy in 1990. He calls himself a law and order sheriff. He has routinely suspended his deputies when they are accused of crimes. He is refusing to resign or step back from his official duties. His spokesman offering this justification.
He feels like he can still support the role of sheriff for Frederick County. We all as an agency believe in him. There are a lot of people in this county who believe in him as well.
Sheriff Jenkins is by right presumed innocent. It would take a conviction or impeachment by the legislature to remove him from office, no matter what residents think.
And if the law says that he can stay in there, he can stay in there. Do I feel comfortable with that? Nope.
Both Jenkins and Kropp are declining comment. Both are due in federal court in Baltimore next week. In Frederick, Brad Bell, Fox 45 News.
We continue under weather alert this evening, and finally, again, we are seeing the cells begin to develop of a broken line of thunderstorms. That some of those could be severe, especially Baltimore City south and east. This is where severe thunderstorm watches are in place, except for Carroll County until 10 p.m. this evening. Can already see down towards Severn and Laurel. It's just kind of some rain that's just borderline almost now into Baltimore City, but it is pushing north and east, so eventually we will probably get some downtown. And then there's this line that's from Potomac all the way back out to about Fairview, and that's moving east. That's where we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for portions of Prince George's County as you work your way to Mitchellville, and then eventually probably southern portions of Anne Arundel getting under this within the next hour. Now let's go ahead and put this in motion, and you can see again those storm cells gradually moving kind of west and, or I should say from west and southwest to east and northeast. So gradually kind of getting a push sort of toward Baltimore. So I think we may get scraped by some of these downtown Baltimore, especially as you work your way downtown and areas south and east toward Dundalk, as well as the mouth of the Inner Harbor, Patapsco River, and then down towards the Bay Bridge. Things getting very rough as we see kind of a double line of storms situated all the way from the Norfolk as well as Richmond area. Then that other line that's giving us a slight risk of severe weather up and down 95 beginning to form here near Baltimore. Now, again, it's a 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather. Baltimore south and east, north and west of the city, a 1 out of 5 risk, a marginal risk there for gusty, damaging winds and potentially some large hail. So that's what we're tracking. 82 right now. It's still warm, mostly cloudy skies in advance of some of those storms. Winds have at least gradually switched over to the east-northeast at 8 miles an hour. Kind of a gloomy look to things in advance of some of that rain. Dew points are still high at about 55 to 60. So we still have moisture in the air to work with. Still, again, that heat is here. 82 in Baltimore, 80 degrees at Columbia, 82 at Laurel. Cold front shifting in from the north and west. That's why temperatures have dipped down to 72 at Westminster, 73 at Frederick. And near the bay, an onshore wind has actually taken temperatures at Stevensville and Annapolis down into the 60s, but everybody else generally in the 80s. Even cooler yet, Hagerstown, Cumberland, as well as Oakland. That's as you get deeper into that air behind the cold front. So the warmth is very short-lived. Into this evening, we're going to see those temperatures quickly tumble, thunderstorms or not, and then maybe a chance for a residual shower into the overnight hours as this front kind of begins to stall out down to our south and east, maybe even into tomorrow early afternoon. There could be a stray shower just in advance of the Orioles game. And then Saturday, we finally do begin to clear out. So overnight tonight, again, through about 7, 8 o'clock, that risk of some stronger storms. By about 9 or 10, they're pushing off the eastern shore and out, and then could see a stray shower or sprinkle overnight into tomorrow morning and midday before that gets out of here as well. So evening rain and thunderstorms taper. Again, we could have some strong winds and some hail, too. 46 late night as it turns cooler and less humid. Breezy, a morning shower or two tomorrow. Then it's much cooler as we head through the afternoon hours. And your hour-by-hour forecast for the Orioles. First pitch, 60 at 3:05. Fifth inning, mostly cloudy and cool, 60 and 58 at the ninth inning. As we wrap things up, you're probably going to need some light jackets at Camden Yards. I'm going to give you your exclusive 10-day forecast, let you know when warmth returns in a couple of minutes.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A viewer in Pawleys Island, South Carolina, captured this picture of a perfect fog bow this morning. Fog bows are similar to rainbows, except because fog droplets are so small, the white light doesn't split into the spectrum like it does in raindrops. Here's a great picture of the rising pink moon last evening in Charleston, South Carolina, and here's an even better shot of it setting this morning in western Wyoming.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Twitter.